Anyway, hi you guys. Welcome to Conversations with Kristen. I'm your host, Kristen Feemster. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in. We this month are talking about thinking traps. So this is part 2 of the Thinking Traps series. If you have not had a chance to watch part 1 around unrealistic expectations, go take a look at that, listen to that, receive that, journal on that, because that's definitely a great starting point for the other conversations we're going to have this month. But for tonight, we are talking about discounting the positive. Discounting the positive is in the mental filter. If we're getting into my therapy bag, it is in the mental filter realm. There's a lot of different ways that we can filter our reality. Would everybody agree with that? Yes? That we can literally think up or think ourselves out of something. We can filter and literally create our reality that may or may not be true, okay? And so discounting the positive is a type of mental filtering that some of us do, all right? This resonates with you, let me know. Let's talk it through, girl. Let's get you through this, because you've got to be able to overcome this in order to truly step into progress, receive it as progress, and maintain that progress, okay? Mental filtering. It's when we minimize, we downplay, we maybe even ignore, or are unable to accept when positive things happen. When there's a success, when there's progress, when there's a win for the week, when there's a compliment. I mean, literally, if someone gives you a compliment, discounting the positive almost negates those little drops of hope and encouragement that we might receive from somebody, right? So this, again, I would say a telltale sign of this is how well do you do with receiving compliments, okay? We'll get to how to recognize it here in a second, but that type of thing, if you feel like I have a hard time receiving compliments, I would say probably across the board there's some discounting of the positive going on. You just may not be catching it yet in the bigger ways that it may be showing up. But the small compliments is kind of a day-to-day one that you can recognize. Like, what do I say when someone compliments my outfit, or they compliment how I've done a project at work, or they express appreciation for something? Do I receive it, or do I discount the positive? Okay? All right, so how might you figure out... First, I want to say that the theme of this talk, you're going to hear me say that several times throughout, is yeah, but. Okay? Just pin that. Just write that down. Keep that in mind. Discounting the positive, bullet point, yeah, but. All right? Signs that you are mentally filtering or discounting the positive includes discounting certain information or experiences. Okay, like I said, this could be compliments, this could be successes, this could be the counter to this could be focusing too much on the negative, right? So if I ask you, as a client of mine, say we're reviewing your habit plan or routine or workout routine, whatever we've set up for you for the week, and the first thing is a negative thing, that would be an indicator that, okay, let's find some wins. So that maybe we're discounting some of the positives that have happened because the negative seems to be what we latch onto, okay? And so that could be a sign for you all that you are doing this. It could also be that yeah, but that I was talking about. If there's ever a situation where someone has presented positive information to you, positive feedback, shared about your progress, observed something that you've done well, if you catch yourself saying yeah but, you can almost immediately assume that you're probably about to discount the positive that they just said. Because what do we do after we say yeah but? We go into yeah but, I probably just got lucky, or yeah but my meal didn't taste that great, it was just okay, yeah but I wasn't satisfied with, and then we go into finding several flaws that we have been paying attention to. Again, when I say mental filtering, it's two-sided. It's like I'm pulling the positive down, and I may even be picking up the negative a little too much. And so I say, yeah, but to the positive, and then I filter in 5, 10 negatives around that same exact situation. Now, I'm not here to argue with you about whether the negatives actually happened or the positive, whatever the case may be. I'm talking about how we mentally get in our own way of progress, okay? So at the end of the day, with some of our thinking patterns, we have to decide and discern, is this helping me move forward to think this way, okay? So I'm not here to tell you that you should never focus on something that maybe is a stumbling block for you or a pattern of self-sabotage. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying we've got to reconsider whether the way we're thinking about things is helping us move forward or stay stagnant and or move backwards, okay? So a lot of times what I like to do is just talk about why we do this. And I know it may seem hard to acknowledge that there's usually some sort of benefit that we get from thinking the ways that we do, from thinking, behaving, whatever. There's usually something that we benefit from it. And a lot of people don't necessarily want to or can't acknowledge that and be like, yeah, but Kristen, why would I ever want to just discount the positives that happen in my life all the time? What purpose does that serve? And that's something that we each have to explore for ourselves, but I'm going to give you a couple of examples. One, it could be a way of controlling a situation or making sense of a situation, right? And so when we're discounting the positive and we're finding all of the negatives that are at play, we then get to go fix those negatives. We get to focus on what's wrong. We get to, instead of basking in maybe the discomfort of there actually being progress, sometimes people are afraid of their own progress. They're uncomfortable with their own progress. They don't think that they deserve positive compliments. They don't think that they're worthy of promotions at work or being celebrated. And so what they do is they go to where they're more comfortable, which is in finding the negative. I know that doesn't seem like it should be a benefit, but I assure you that if it's making you comfortable and if it's what you're used to, in a lot of cases that means that it's benefiting you, even in some superficial, temporary type of way. I'm uncomfortable. I don't know what to do with the success. I don't know what to say back. So let me just go to the positives. Let me just go to the negatives. And let me just go pick this thing apart. I feel so much better doing that. Or this feels like a familiar voice to me. It feels safe to me. For whatever reason, we tend to do that. And it can be a way of controlling what the focus is in our own minds, right? Instead of having to worry about what someone else is viewing of us, we may even go to the negative because we can control how we fix and do and overcome those negative things. Discounting the positives, honestly, is seen as a positive trait for a lot of people. What do we say? Oh, well, I don't want to brag, or I don't want to seem too cocky, or I don't want to come across arrogant, or, I pride myself on being very humble, especially for women in today's society. Some of those, gender role and societal expectations around how women are supposed to show up. We are pretty much taught from a young age to be more on the meek side, to be very much so on the humble side, saying, yes, I agree with whatever your compliment is, or thank you, I did kill that. We're not taught to really embrace those types of moments. We're taught to say, no, well, everybody did a great job. We all did. We just, what I mean? Instead of just letting the spotlight be on us. And that can be seen as a positive quality, something that you would want someone to see in you. That's going to make it hard to let this thinking pattern go, even if you know that it's causing you trouble in other areas of your life. And I already kind of mentioned this one, but discounting the positives can sometimes allow us to be comfortable. All right. We don't necessarily like to be in the spotlight, or we don't know what to do with the positives. I know for me, sometimes when I've been complimented on things, it reminds me that I'm in the spotlight, and I'm just like, oh God, oh gosh, I was just so, we get to processing instead of just saying, thank you for enjoying the live. Thank you for enjoying the program. Thank you for your compliment. We spiral because we don't know what to do with that moment, right? And so it can create a situation where we are in our comfort zone, even though it's causing discomfort. So These are all a little tricky, which is why we're talking about them, okay? Let me know if you have any questions as you guys are tuning in. I would love to hear even some examples. Do you all relate to this being something that you struggle with discounting the positive? What do you hear yourself saying, yeah, but about? Has there been anything in the last week or so where you're like, yeah, but can you share that? Let's talk it through. Let's talk it through. Now, how do we get this way is the next thing that I want to talk about. So we talked about why we might be doing it. We talked about what it is. We talked about why we might be doing it. And then now I want to talk about, like, how do we get here? Discounting the positives is often, as the others are, rooted in insecurity. And oftentimes our insecurities come from early experiences that we've had. I'm talking childhood type of experiences, right? And so that could be messages from your caregivers early on, right? Maybe, again, like we said, maybe receiving positive feedback or celebrating yourself was seen as a negative trait in your home. So you learn to discount that positive because your caregivers, maybe they never celebrated you. Or maybe they told you that that's not a humble way to move about your life and that there's a different purpose. That could be something that you observed indirectly or were directly taught not to do. It could also be a matter of, I could personally say some of mine came from bullying. And so that could be an experience. Bullying could be from your family too now, but it could be from your peer group. It could be from just any environment where you being celebrated or you doing well at something was seen as a threat for other people or seen as a joke or something to be laughed about at your expense or something to be minimized because, you know, people don't want you to feel like you're all that because you succeeded in a certain area or whatever the case may be. And so sometimes people out of their own insecurities will try to knock you down a few notches. Even when you're like, listen, I'm on notch 1. You don't have to knock me down anymore. I'm on notch 1. Don't knock me off my notch. Y'all think I'm on 5 and 8 and 10. I'm on 1. Please leave me alone. But I'm laughing, but but people will tend to try to knock you down again. And again, it's all rooted in this idea of not getting too big or keeping yourself small as if it's something to be proud of, or that it's the more appropriate way for you to live your life, right? I also see this a lot in sometimes people get indoctrinated, I guess you could say, into this through organized religion or just other institutional type settings where you're taught certain things and certain principles are conditioned, maybe even misused. So I think of, some types of religion with that. I think of the military with that. I think of a lot of different organizational places where there's like a school of thought that may be being taught that gets ingrained in you. And the next thing you know, you're an adult and you're still thinking in these same ways, even though you can tell that it's getting in the way of you moving forward. And then even if you do move forward, it's like I can't even really receive that I'm in a different place because I feel and think as if I'm still at square one, right? So Joelle says, it's difficult. I'm trying to do better on just saying thank you. Yes, Joelle, you were on it because I'm about to give my tips on what to do about this. But that's absolutely it. Like, how uncomfortable is it to just sit and say thank you? I know for me, it's almost, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I know for me, when I receive a compliment, it's like I've got to give something back. And I don't know where I picked that up from. I guess I should think about that a little bit more. But it's just like I'm almost like I've got to give them something back. Like them complimenting me and me receiving is not enough. I have to give, I have to give, I have to give. That could be from, early childhood or overt, covert messages around how you treat other people. You know what I mean? And I do understand that there is a principle behind that could be healthy. But again, y'all, we're talking about these thinking traps. There's nothing wrong with thinking. Okay, we got to think. It's when it becomes a trap, when it becomes a bind that is a problem for us. That's when we start to have issues. And that's when we have to say, okay, this is no longer serving a good purpose for me. Me discounting the positives and hyper focusing on the negatives is no longer pushing me forward or helping me achieve anything. It's only getting in the way of my happiness. Now we have to regroup. Now we have to step back and learn to think a new way. So what is that new way? Nina says it can be very uncomfortable. Yes, receiving a compliment can be very uncomfortable. I would agree with that. And we'll talk about kind of how to navigate that here in a second. So the first tip I have for you guys, how do we work on not discounting the positive? And how is this essential to your wellness journey and the things that you're doing? This is important for one, because if you're under the sound of my voice, if you're watching this video, there's something in your life that you are trying to change, right? And the only way you're going to be able to move forward on that is if you are grabbing onto your strengths and your positives to propel you forward, okay? So if there's no gas in the vehicle that's moving you forward, you're not going to move, right? And so it's so important that we start to catch ourselves, and that is the first thing that I want you to think about, is your awareness. Remember I said that yeah, but phrase earlier? You catch yourself saying any variation of that. If y'all in the chat can help me out with what are some other variations of yeah, but. I'm trying to think on the fly here. I can't really think of some. Maybe y'all can help me out. But there's a lot of different little sneaky variations of, oh, well, that wasn't that, something in that sense. I can't really role play with myself right now, but it could be a yeah, but. It could be a, oh, well, I just, literally just that. Well, no. There's something that you did that you can stand on and be proud of. And we say, oh, that thing, oh, that, I just put that together, or I just, girl, I barely made it through that. Those are all statements where you're starting to minimize what somebody has said. Joel says, you're lying. I mean, there it is, plain as day. That's a direct one. Yeah, but is a little sneakier. And the I just is whatever is some of those more covert ones. But yeah, you're just being nice. You're lying, like blatantly. I'm sorry. That was funny. Blatantly discounting it. I mean, she really just gave me a clear one. I think I was trying to find the little sneaky ones, but it's like, y'all, we can literally not receive it that directly. Oh, stop. You don't mean that. Oh, they ain't mean that. They don't know what they're talking about. Like literally arguing with what someone has articulated to you. They don't mean it. They're just saying that to be nice. You're lying. All those types of things is discounting the positive. And then also, if you try to halfway agree and say, yeah, but, you're still negating everything that they just said with the but. Because after the but comes all these negatives that we've also been filtering in, right? Joel says, anyways, trying to move on. Oh, yeah. Ooh, you're good, Joel. Joel is doing very good at giving me some examples. I'm going to put those on the screen so that everybody can see that for the replay. There's a long list of ways that we navigate and just slide by and shapeshift around just saying, thank you, you're right. I've worked very hard for this. I really appreciate you, the compliment. I really appreciate you seeing me. Thank you. I mean, really, it could be that simple. But the first thing you got to do is you got to have your awareness around what does your discounting sound like, all right? So we've got several examples that we talked about just now, but also I want you to really think about what does my discounting sound like? How does it show up, right? Do I even respond? Do I put my head down? Sometimes we can physically shrink ourselves when someone is celebrating us or when someone has complimented something that we've done, right? The second thing I want you to do is widen your perspective, okay? Widen your perspective. This one kind of goes two different sides. Again, remember how I said discounting the positive, mental filtering. One component is discounting the positive, and then the other is hyper-focusing on the negative. They kind of complement each other, right? Because if I'm discounting the positive, the only thing left is the negatives, okay? That's the only thing that is left. So if we're discounting the positive, we have to assume that we are focusing on the negative. And if you catch yourself rattling off things that you could have done better, for example, Let's say there was a plan for you to work out 4 days in a week, and I'm your coach, and there's been 4 workouts on your calendar, and I come in on a Friday and I say, hey, so and so, that was so great. I see that you have been 75%, 3 out of 4 on your workouts this week. I am so proud of you. I see that you have gone up in weight on a few exercises. I see that you have rated your workouts as being less difficult. That means that your body is showing up for you. That means that you're being consistent over time. And you say, yeah, but I missed the one on Monday. I'm so sorry. I was so stressed and I got and you just rattle off, y'all. Or you start focusing on, yeah, but I just keep on. I can't quite get that one move right, and it's just really bothering me. And you just go off on a tangent around the negative. In those moments, once you catch yourself saying, yeah, but, I want you to widen your perspective, okay? Because as your coach, I'm coming in with the big picture in mind. I'm seeing that 3 out of 4 is actually pretty good if we're doing that over the course of time, but you gotta pull out to see the bigger picture. That person, that hypothetical person that I've come up with, they're only focused on Monday. They haven't even really broadened their perspective to the whole full week, right? So if I say I see that you've made 3 out of 4 of your workouts, and I'm highlighting some things that you've done well that would demonstrate progress, and you go hyper-focus on Monday, you got to broaden your perspective. Let me pull back. I'm too in the details. If the first couple of things that I say back to a positive compliment is the negatives, I'm too much in the details. I'm looking for stuff. Let me pull back, receive the compliment, and then look at the bigger picture that, you know what, they're right. And maybe I'm working out more consistently now than I was a month ago. If I pull back my perspective, I might actually see that pattern as I'm coming into the week I've just had. But as long as I am hyper focused on the mistake on Monday, the missed workout on Monday, I didn't hit my water goal on Tuesday, or we're doing a movement challenge right now. Quick story. We're doing the movement challenge for February in the B3 crew membership, and there's a feature where you can get on a streak. So every day you get on, and there's a movement challenge on your calendar, and you just mark it complete, and the app will eventually start keeping track of your streak of 5 days, on up until whenever it ends, right? And so sometimes people will forget, myself included, because I put myself on the same tracker thing, and we miss a day. Either we miss a day in logging it, or we maybe even miss a day of the movement challenge. Yeah, we all did this for the movement challenge in January, right? And immediately it's like, oh, I broke my streak. I can't believe I broke my streak. I can't believe that I missed a day. Oh, I was doing so good, and then I forgot to get on, and I didn't get on, and it's completely overriding the fact that you were on a streak. Wow, when's the last time you've been on a movement streak? That's great. What is one day, if we pull back, what's that one day that you either missed from moving at all, or just miss logging in, checking in? But we get so focused on that and get bummed out that, oh man, I missed the post, I didn't get to comment, or oh, I missed the login, so I didn't get accounted for that day. You got to pull back your perspective. And look at it from the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that I'm doing more, I'm moving more, I'm staying committed overall to my well-being. This is something I've never done before. I'm gonna have some imperfections along the way, but wow, look at that 20-day streak I went on. When is the last time I've done that? That's great, right? Instead of focusing on day 21 where you got off track, and then now that's the problem focus, okay? All right, so that's the third one. The last one is that I want you to start fact checking. And this is I want you to start receiving, for one. I'm adding in a fourth one. Fact checking is what I want you all to think about first. And then I'm going to get into just practicing receiving. Let me write that down so I don't forget. But I want you to start fact checking yourself, okay? This could be in writing down 3 strengths every day. And this may not even be fact checking. Sometimes you may need to go back and look at literal evidence of your progress and just kind of see how far you come. And for that client I was using for the example, I would encourage that person to go back. How about you go back and look at your last month, and let's pull back and let's look at the facts of the matter. The fact of the matter is that you are at 75, 80% of workout completion. Nobody is expecting 100% all the time. You got to go back and look at those facts and not just hyper focus on that one day where things got off, right? But also this could be in practice, which would be building your own strengths up. Sometimes we have a hard time receiving a compliment from someone else because their compliment is the first time we've heard a compliment in weeks. We never compliment ourselves. We never affirm ourselves. And I'm in an assuming way, but this often is the issue, is that that's the first time I've heard something positive toward what I'm doing all week long, because my mental filter has just been on a run of criticism, finding the negative, that I don't even know what to do with your positive energy. Wow. You think I'm doing a good job? I hadn't even thought about that in the last 72 hours. You know what I mean? So we have to go and practice receiving it for ourselves, but also practice sitting with someone else giving it to us as well. So what does this look like in practice? This looks like writing down your own strengths and doing a personal inventory at the end of the day. So just say, what has gone well today? What am I proud of myself for doing today? What are 3 strengths that I bring to my home, to my friends, to my work environment, to my own personal relationship with myself? What are 3 characteristics that I am proud of, that are pros in being in relationship with me? We, us, have got to start naming those things ourselves, so that when someone else notices them, it's not like some unheard of information that we just can't connect with, right? So if I've been telling myself and affirming myself that I am a disciplined person, that you have been showing up and getting things done each day, that you have been following through on your commitments, that you have been, with the movement challenge, for example, that I have been doing a great job. Let me go back and look at my calendar. Let me go celebrate myself. Let me shout myself out. Now when you come and give me a compliment, that's not the first time I've heard that, right? I can sit with that a little bit more, which is also another practice of this, is that sometimes we just have to sit with it. We just have to allow someone to help us teach ourselves something new, if that makes sense. So we're basically saying that this is something that we picked up early on in our lives, early memories, childhood, probably, for this one most likely childhood. It could have been like a very negative environment in our adult life, like a work environment, for example. But usually those types of things are still kind of attached to some earlier memories than that. Again, we've been conditioned to think that way. So we're going to have to sit in the discomfort of allowing someone else, along with ourselves, because we're going to be practicing too, to compliment us and just receive it. So instead of the yeah, but, or as Joelle says, you're lying, we're going to say thank you. Please share, what can we say instead? Because y'all came up with some good examples of how we discount. What else can we do? We can say thank you. We can say, I appreciate the compliment. You know what? That really makes my day. That's something that I've been working on. It's just letting someone know, that really makes my day. I really appreciate when you share how this is benefiting you, because it helps me keep going. I tell my clients that all the time, B3 crew folks, when you guys say certain things, I appreciate you. When y'all say certain things, I let y'all know that made my day, because it literally did make my day. But it's another way of just saying, oh, well, I'm just supposed to do that. Oh, this little thing, y'all, no. I say, I appreciate you. I needed to hear that. Is another one that someone has said, I need to hear that. Thank you. That made my day. You don't know how much that means to me. That is not only receiving a compliment, but it's retraining the way we interact with ourselves around what's good in our lives. You know, when we discount the positive, we're kind of, okay, so if you're used to giving, if you're a giver, most of us are in some capacity, we like for the people that we're giving to receive what we've given them well, right? So if I'm giving you something and you're discounting it, that's almost like I'm handing you $10 and you are throwing it away. And you're, you know, burning it up, throwing it in the trash. Or I made you a meal and you don't want it, you know? And so even in our ability to say, thank you, I appreciate that. That was so sweet of you. That was so thoughtful of you to say that. That made my day. That made me smile. That you think so. All these things that are coming in the chat now, that also affirms that other person and perhaps their love language or their way of celebrating you too. So it's a two-way street here. They're teaching you some things, but also it's kind of like you are giving back to that person. You're not giving back to them by taking the spotlight off of you and putting it on them. Be like, oh, who, just me? Oh no, you did. No, that's not what we want to do. We want to keep the compliment where it was given, but we can also express appreciation that pours back into that person. Okay. So yes, I appreciate you. Thank you. We have some other ones coming through. Thank you. I appreciate you. I really need to hear that. That makes me smile that you think so. These are all great ways that we can show up and receive those good things about ourselves. And we also have to implement our own practice within ourselves. Hear me loud and hear me clear. If there's a change that you have made recently to your life that you know is making a positive impact, you've got to stop and celebrate yourself. You've got to stop and say, I'm proud of you for showing up. Okay? Sometimes there may not be anybody else that can tell you that. And when it comes to where it's most meaningful, it's when you believe it for yourself. Because there's going to be days where there maybe isn't anyone else that's going to be able to see it or have access to see. There's some things that we're all working on that nobody knows about. And so we have to be our biggest cheerleader. It doesn't mean that there aren't challenges to overcome. It doesn't mean that there won't be obstacles. But it means that I'm putting fuel back into the vehicle that's moving me forward, which is myself. And I'm okay with receiving free gas too. Metaphorically speaking. That's some free gas, girl. Don't you throw that away. So please, you guys, let me know if you have any questions or comments around this. I hope this was a easy to follow as far as what is discounting the positive, signs that we're discounting the positive, why we do it, and how we can start to shift those patterns in our own lives. And again, if you are making progress or thinking about making progress or making a change in your life, it's largely going to be a mindset thing. Okay, the actions are going to come, the changes are going to come, and they're going to work. Okay, but our mindset can really determine our experience. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate you. This has made my day. Really to be able to share this. And again, this is all a work that we're all doing in our own ways. I need these reminders just as much as you guys may need it. We're all working on it. So if you are in community with us here in the Facebook group, in the B3 crew, and you hear someone being hard on themselves, encourage them up, lift them up. We don't have to be in denial and be positive patties and superficial with it. But we can also know that we can fill in the gaps for each other to find those positives and find those wins. Okay? All right, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I will be back live 7 p.m. next Monday with another Thinking Trap. So I hope you all can join me. Bring your notes, bring your questions and your comments, and I'll be glad to help you through with the topic for next week. But until then, I will see you guys later. Have a good night.